How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
And it's time for match number 16 of this year's IPL. Lucknow Supergiants didn't enjoy their first home game at the Ekana Stadium. It looked to turn things around against a Mumbai Indians side that did enjoy their first win. That was at home at the Wankhede. They're on the road now for a string of home games to just try and kickstart their season as well. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Build up to the game in Lucknow. The two super coaches are still with me. I like that term actually, super coaches. With how many coaches there are these days in the dugout, Sanjay, Bangar and Mark Boucher, maybe that's an official title you all can go with. I'd like to be the super coach. So much more catchy than mentor. Don't you think, Mr. Bangar?
I mean, we're happy if you're going to tag that. Why not?
Not biting anything here. That I'm
just a coach should be fine.
Isn't there one franchise that's patented that term already?
What?
So how could you be at another franchise? Oh, there are two franchises now.
What, super coach?
No, just the word super.
No, I felt the only time that I saw that concept really kicking in is when Stephen Fleming went to the ground in formals, right? And he wasn't in his tracks and track bottom. So I think, yeah,
that
he
was
fits
more
the bill
football
well.
manager style.
Yes.
That's what the football managers do, yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't mind it. If only we had slightly better weather in India.
Yeah, you need a fan blowing on you the whole game.
Because I quite like the suit and tie on match day look, but Dustin Silgardo is here doubling up as our analyst in the absence of Matt. Looks good in a suit and tie himself, Dustin.
Have you ever seen him?
No, I haven't. I'm imagining it. Right. Let's talk LSG and Mumbai Indians. Toss will take place. In fact, it just has. Mumbai Indians have won it. And they're going to bowl first. Let's talk about the importance of this game for both teams. And Mark, you know the Mumbai Indians team well. And we were talking about the first two games and thinking, oh, this is typical Mumbai. They take a game or two to get that engine running. Sometimes it's tricky. The IPL's gotten tougher. You almost need to start winning soon. They're already on winning ways. But what have you made of their season so far?
Yeah, look, I think, the first two games obviously didn't go their way. The first game never goes Mumbai Indians' way. So,
yeah, 12 years,
you can almost write that one off. I think they'll take a lot of confidence from the last game. A good win over KKR. And, today is a massive game for them as well because, if you start losing 3 out of 4 games and there's external pressures that come into the equation, you win 2 out of 4, you sort of move to the top of the table, and then the teams can start relaxing and playing with a bit more confidence. So I think today's a massive game for them.
Is this a good time to play Lucknow, perhaps, Sanjay Bangar? That one win at Hyderabad, yes, but we still seem to feel like there are quite a few holes in the Supergiants side.
Yeah, I mean, the way they picked up their team, only picking 6 overseas players, and even amongst there, you only have one bowler. So there are literally packed with overseas batters, but no overseas bowler. And that could be one of their real problem areas because having missed out on Mayank and Mohsin, now they are like searching for that Indian pacer in Shardul, or maybe you can see Akash Deep playing, but they probably certainly lack something in the pace department.
I believe Sagar, our colleague who's at Lucknow, said Akash Deep has marked his run-up, which I'll come to in just a bit. Dustin.
No, I mean, one, I think, good piece of news is that I think the Mumbai pitch curators, helicopters had some issues, so he's not been able to reach Lucknow. So the Lucknow curator is actually producing the pitch there this time.
Oh, Zaid Khan's comments. Dustin adding a little bit of spice.
Apparently, it's a black soil pitch, and Lucknow do have, I mean, they're very spin heavy, right, in the attack with Rathi and Bishnoi and M. Siddharth. So that could be something that's in their favor, that at least they'll have a spin heavy pitch. So, as you mentioned, the pace bowling problems they have maybe won't be as pronounced, possibly.
Yeah, and there was a time wherein those pitches were actually assisting spin bowling. And even if anybody bowled wicket to wicket with the low bounce, but after the relays has happened, and even today's pitch report, what we've read a little bit about it, there's a bit of grass cover as well. So I don't really think that the pitch will totally play or favor spin bowling.
I wonder what you made of even Zach's comments. I know why you brought that up. It's quite scathing to almost say this is not the pitch we want. It shouldn't look like the Punjab pitch curator who's done it. And you've, of course, worked a little bit with Zaid.
Yeah, I think basically just him looking at his own attack.
Yes.
He's searching for some sort of pitch. And, maybe that's why they've moved across the black soil. But also, the last 2 years where Mumbai have gone to Ekana Stadium, we have played on the black soil wickets and we've lost. So, maybe that's just something that they want to play in the back of the Mumbai Indians batters' minds. that's probably why they've done it.
I can tell you that Hardik Pandya has said at the toss, as he's chosen to bowl, that I really don't know what to make of the wicket. I don't know how it'll play, but it looks like a fresh pitch. Now, from your experience firsthand, how good is Hardik the pitch reader, Mark?
So that's great news to hear because Hardik's focused today. When he starts worrying about all these other things, then his mind's drifting. So, he's the type of cricketer that's just, he gets there, he does his job on the ground. So that's great to hear because he's very focused today.
There's a big bit of news coming from Lucknow. Rohit Sharma has got hit in the knee in the nets and misses out today. So even though it's their bowling first team, I believe he's not even on the impact bench. We'll confirm that in just a moment. Let's get a reaction on that. It's not like he's had the runs behind him, but one would hope that Rohit Sharma fires sooner rather than later. How big a miss is that today, Sanjay, for MI?
I think based on current form, I don't really think Mumbai Indians would be too worried by that. They would certainly want Rohit to get back fresher and hungrier than he has been seen in the first 3 games or so. So they have the batting depth in that sense. They have quality batting as well. So I'm not too concerned with Rohit being sort of a sideline for this particular game.
Let me just spin that around because we were going to make that a big conversation on Rohit's lack of impact in the IPL in spite of being such a prolific captain as well as an international cricketer, Mark. But what would a break do at this time when he's been a bit shorter runs and we know the stage of the career that he's in, maybe missing out a game or two? Would that sometimes be a good thing?
I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It's not like he's a guy who hasn't been playing cricket. And sometimes just a little bit of a step away from the game can be the best for a player as well. We all know what Rohit can do. He's been playing a lot of cricket of late. He's been practicing. He's not the type of player that needs to go into the nets and hit 1,000 balls. He doesn't do that in any case. So I don't think this will be a bad thing for him. I do think that MI need him to get into the competition because he's such a big player. Not only a batter, but he's also one of the leaders in the team as well. So, if there was ever time for it to happen, the earlier, the better. So you can maybe have a game or two. Who knows what the injury is all about? But there's still a lot more time for him to get into the competition, get some runs behind his name, and have a big impact towards the back end of the tournament.
A chance for Will Jacks to open today. Maybe I haven't seen the team sheet yet, but I'm assuming that maybe what Mumbai will do without Rohit in the team.
Well, I mean, if Will Jacks bats 3, then who will bat? If Will Jacks opens the innings, who will bat 3? Because you don't want.
I guess Tilak can 3 and 4.
I'm going to throw another one in there.
Okay.
I think there are 2 guys that can replace Rohit's position as well. One is Robin Mintz.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other one is Namandir. Namandir as well. He's a type of batter who can bat anywhere in the order. Last season he did bat in the top 3.
Yes, he did.
And then he moved down to 6 or 7, and he scored some good runs at the back end of the season as well. So that is another option. Whether they play around with the international players, I'm not too sure. But those are definitely two options that
we've heard a lot of Robin Mintz, and we know the kind of how a lot of franchises rate him very highly. He did start the season, hasn't quite had the impact yet. We'll wait for team news and just confirm that. But yeah, that's what we've got for you so far. Hardik and MI are bowling, and there is no Rohit Sharma today. But let's perhaps focus. We mentioned Robin Mintz and Namandir. We've seen Ashwini Kumar in the last game, player of the match on his IPL debut. We've seen Vignesh Puthur at the start of the season. It takes us to a conversation of how MI are so impressive when it comes to finding and scouting, and what your experiences have been in that regard, Mark, with this franchise.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see the amount of dedication that goes in behind the scenes. I was on social media this morning, and I saw Mrs. Ambani as well, just thanking the scouts in the dressing room, and I think that goes a long way as well. There's probably 10, 15 guys that spend hours of time looking at talent all around India. They get them there to the fields. They play games after games after games, a lot of video footage. And then they've basically, out of maybe 300-400 players, they've got to select 5 or 6 that they look to go after in the auction. So there's a lot of planning that goes behind the scenes, and I mean that's all credit to their scouts.
So let me try and understand this. You have scouts that are employed through the year by MI that are actively working.
Yes.
It's not like it's just a couple of months before the IPL or something like that. You collect a bunch of young cricketers together, and that's where they've even sometimes, I believe, they've even toured overseas at times. Could you take us through what they do, which is perhaps unique and impressive?
Yeah, so the years that I was there, there was a UK tour where you sort of take maybe 30 players and you go and have a look and see how they operate in different conditions. To be frank, that's how we picked up Namandir. That's how we picked up Robin Mintz.
Sure.
And largely due to the fact that they had so much success playing in different conditions. And I think that, it's just the way that they operate. Players that have been on the fringes, Ryan Rickleton, Akash Madwal, even Nahal Wadera, they all went through that whole system. And these are the players that are coming out now and doing really well. So it's a credit to what they do behind the scenes, but also the opportunities that they give some of these young cricketers. At times where everyone thinks that nothing's going on, there's always something happening in the Mumbai Indians franchise. Right. There's always a lot of moving parts.
What sets them out or sets them apart from other franchises in terms of their scouting program, Sanjay, having been with two at least yourself?
See, I mean, to be fair, they had the first mover advantage. They were the ones who started it.
Yes.
And now all the other teams have caught up in that sense in terms of talent scouting. But what I believe is the differentiator is that they back their convictions. Now, if you look at some of the players, like when I was with RCB had invested in a couple of interns which eventually turned out and played for Mumbai, like Anshul and Akash Madwal.
Right.
They were with RCB as interns, and even Ashwini last season was an intern with Punjab Kings. So it's one thing to identify a talent, and the other thing is having that conviction that yes, this is a guy, we are going to back him, and it requires courage. So I believe that is the differentiator which MI has really shown that they have been unique in this particular aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a long time back, before we knew of the active scouts for multiple franchises, you had John Wright, who had been an India coach, who was almost leading the scouting program. I think Anil Kumble has been part of it. They've had sort of high-profile internationals taking responsibility of the scouting, not necessarily just the franchise itself.
I think that association, once you are associated with MI, it's not just a relationship for maybe 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah. They tend to look after the people who have served them pretty well in that sense, like John Wright.
John Wright's still there.
He's still there,
but he started as a coach. And then after his coaching years, he continued as a talent scout. So I think that's another uniqueness of MI, that they certainly look after the people who serve them.
Looking after you, Mark?
Yeah. They are. A guy like John Wright goes to the 100 competition. He goes to all these competitions around the world as well. So he's not only looking at Indian players, he obviously knows a lot about the Indian players. He
100%.
watches all the leagues. But there's also an eye out for good talent throughout the world. So, they're covering all their bases.
And it makes a big difference actually going to the ground, right? Because we can all look at numbers of local tournaments and say, okay, this person has a great strike rate. But, I mean, there's the famous story of how Wright spotted Bumrah, which is just one ball that went over the batter's head and I think went for 6 or 4 byes. And he just saw that pace and carry and he said, okay, this is somebody to look at.
Yeah. I mean, I remember in 2016 when we were on a flight to a wildlife reserve at Pench and John Wright was there by himself, a couple of bags sitting somewhere right at the back in the plane. I asked him, what are you doing here? And he said, there's a local tournament in Nagpur. I'm going and having a look over there. And he was just by himself. So this is the former India coach and we had just been fans of the success he enjoyed with India. So this was 15, 16 when, perhaps the scouting system wasn't as sophisticated as it is today. Brilliant. All right, there you go. And it's reaping reward even in 2025. We've seen that with Ashwini Kumar. We're looking forward to see whether he plays today. Let's get into the teams, shall we? And we'll talk a bit about Lucknow Supergiants as well. Wow, it's a first game for Rajangad Baba for the Mumbai Indians. And as far as the bowling first 11 goes, it slots Ryan Rickleton and Will Jacks at the top. We'll wait to see. Interestingly, Tilak Verma's on the bench. So I think we can assume that is the likely one. So it's not going to be Minj today. We assume Tilak will come in and maybe they'll back Rickleton and Jacks, Mark, possibly Namandir to bat in the top 3 today?
Yeah, I think so. Will Jacks is opener, so he might slip in there. But as I said, it is either going to be Minj or Dir to move into a sort of a slot in the top 3. And I think that Namandir is certainly one player that he's very exciting and he can easily take up that role.
Sanjay, Raj Baba playing today for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got something about him and I haven't really seen him that much. And obviously an India under-19 player.
Punjab Kings did pick him up, I think, few seasons
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
I
he
don't
was
know.
in there.
Possibly,
in the
possibly.
squad, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I have not seen really much of him.
Yeah, I think Rajbab, we remember him at the under-19
Yeah, I think he's
World
coached
Cup.
by Yuvraj Singh's father, if I'm not mistaken. So he's kind of grown up watching Yuvraj, I believe. Is that?
That actually just demands a moment of silence just to take that in. Yuvraj's father is known to be a tough taskmaster as a coach, but of course,
I mean, when
different
he was young, I don't know
tactics
about
to
now.
your coaching style, Mr. Bangar.
Yeah. I mean, he's made an impact, a positive impact on a number of players who go to him. So it's great, you know, that he's involved and loves the kind of things that he does with the young players.
I think there was a under-19 World Cup final where I think Raj Pawar was player of the match.
Yeah, I think he had a good World Cup in general that year that they won. Yeah.
Right, okay, so that's the team they've gone with. There's also Vignesh Puthur, there's also Ashwini Kumar, so there's a lot of the scouting talent on display in the same game today. Tilak on the bench, though, is a curious one. I wonder if that is your, shall I say, your least impressive fielder. I don't think that's Tilak. Or he's carrying something.
He nearly dropped a catch at third man the other day. Maybe they're judging him on that. But yeah, he's actually a good fielder and a good young leader in the team as well. So that is surprising. Maybe they're just looking at different bowling options.
Yeah. Did you, in your experience, on a very light note, but at the same time, through genuine experience, find that if the designated impact sub who would enjoy his time off, like Travis Head does, or times even Rohit or Mitch Marsh, when there were a few people that didn't mind telling the coach, today I feel like being on the impact subs bench, if you don't mind, just feeling a little niggle here and there. Did that ever happen?
To be fair, not in the Mumbai Indians side at all. They wanted to be on the field. So yeah, I've never had a player who's actually wanted to be off the field. Maybe they push you in that direction, but they're actually deep down they're saying, oh, I wouldn't mind a little bit of rest today.
Mr. Bangar, any such experience with you?
No, it doesn't happen at IPL level.
Okay, fair enough. So the Aussies seem to be quite pleased with it. They enjoy it. LSG, let's have a look. How do they respond to that defeat against the Punjab Kings? They'll welcome Akash Deep back. Now, he hasn't necessarily enjoyed IPL success as he has with the Indian Test team, but that seems to be the only change that they make. The likes of Ravi this is a batting first team which sees Bishnoi on the bench. And while one would assume that he would be the replacement, you never know. You've got M. Siddharth there, you've got Akash Singh, they got Prince there. And Bishnoi on the bench, this could very well indicate that they're not quite sure, Mr. Bangar, Bishnoi is in their best 12.
I think it also shows the kind of confidence that they've now going to have in Digvesh Rathi.
Right.
Because he's looked the part and they may also go to M. Siddharth if the conditions really suit and if they're thinking of using a left armour in the first 6 overs. So they have plenty of options as far as the impact options are concerned.
I think it also indicates maybe their reading of the pitch because they've been playing 3 spinners most cases. They've had Siddharth, Rathi and Bishnoi. Today there's the extra seamer with 3 seamers there. So maybe they think that the pitch will favour seam a little bit more than spin. That's a possibility.
We spoke of grass and whatnot, and we expect Lucknow to turn. But it's an interesting one whether, I think Nick Knight said it the last time on the Lucknow game, that if they want to prepare a surface that's to their advantage as the home team, just prepare a belter and a flat surface. Because they have the batting, they have Puran and Marsh and Markram. And if you prepare turners, like we've seen at the Ekana, if it's low, they don't quite have the spinners, is it fair to say, Mark? And certainly not the spinners in form, if Bishnoi's form is an indication.
Yeah, for me, that selection tells you that Bishnoi is not their number 1 spinner anymore.
Right.
Yeah. And that could be maybe the lack of form. Not to say that he's not good enough to be their number 1, but yeah, those numbers, that'll tell the story. So that's just on form alone. They've decided to put Rathi in as their main spinner.
Yeah.
And I think not a bad decision. That they obviously they're going to be fielding second. So they'll have a look at the conditions and decide whether they need an extra spinner or whether they want to go with someone else.
This is a big call, wouldn't you say, though? I mean, normally a retained spinner, high price, experienced IPL campaigner, but in 3 games, Digvesh Rathi seems to have become the lead spinner, outbowled him.
Surely. And the kind of batters also that they have may not actually allow LSG to play on really slow pitches, because if you look at Marsh or Markram or for that matter even Miller, and they're going to go with that sort of strategy of playing 4 overseas batters. So I think that this could be the way to go as far as having 4 seam options. Does seem a better combination for them at the moment.
Dustin,
and
take it away.
so far Lucknow have actually used the least overs of seam among all the teams that have finished 3 games. So they've only bowled 144 balls of seam and only 8 wickets. 6 of those are Shardul's wickets.
Right.
And so they have been very reliant on spin as compared to seam. Maybe they've identified that possibly as an area that they need to change, and that's why the change in combination.
You see, they might also be going with their strength. And, you know, if you look at that team on paper, their strength is definitely their batting.
Yeah.
And, you know, to be fair, they probably should have won their first game against Delhi.
Yes.
You know, their bowling probably lost them that game. They got 190 in their second game.
Yeah.
And then the last game, obviously against Punjab, was a one-way traffic. But, you know, for me, you're preparing pitches for your batters, which is your strength. And now your bowlers are going to have to find a way to bowl on those pitches.
Let's talk about Akash Deep, because in the absence of Mayank and Mohsin, you think that, oh, Akash Deep coming, that strengthens the pace bowling lineup because of what we've seen from Akash Deep in home tests, Sanjay Bangar, but he hasn't quite had a lot of IPL game time. How do you see him going as a white bowler, an IPL bowler?
Well, he was with RCB, again came through the intern system, so a big success as far as progressing from first class cricket. And he's a guy who is far more suited to the longer format of the game, has got pace, but what I've noticed is that his stock ball is the ball which comes back into the right-handers, but of late what I've seen is that he's trying to bowl that away swinger, which has probably curtailed his effectiveness to an extent. That could be an observation, but yeah, I mean, he needs to step up and he can do a job which a lot of other test bowlers do. Like if you look at what a Hazelwood does, comes and just bowls a good length. If he can do that particular role, I think he can do a role for LSG as well.
They paid good money for him. 8 crore to get an Indian seamer who's not necessarily been a regular in the IPL. Mark, any observations on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Sanjay's saying. You know, first of all, if he's bringing the ball back in, that's not a bad thing for T20 cricket. I think some bowlers try to get it wrong when they start trying to get the ball away. It messes with their wrist. And it's also just your eyesight. You don't see that ball going away, which can bring a lot of bad deliveries in play. But certainly, you know, if you look at some of the bowlers around, guys just hit their good test lengths. Sometimes that's the best on certain pitches. It won't always play his way out. But if there's something there with a new ball, then he can be dangerous.
And we've already seen like somebody like a Prasidh Krishna or Ishant Sharma who are doing that really well for a team like GT.
Is Akash Deep as tall as them? I somehow thought he's more the Shami. Is he much taller than Shami?
He's taller than Shami for sure.
Okay, so he's got that sort of, right. Somehow
I know it's red ball, but he had an excellent Duleep trophy. And there were a few balls where he bowled, it was an in-swinger to the left-hander, so an out-swinger to the right-hander. I'm sure you remember there were a couple where he got left-handers bowled where he looked like that ball was very dangerous, but he was bowling it from around the wicket, I think, to the lefties. But of course, that's red ball cricket. Do you think he can translate those skills to the white ball game as well?
He can, and I mean, that's his strength. Because if you assign him to bowl maybe 3 overs up top, then guys like Shardul, who are more craftier in that sense, who have got more variety, can be used maybe towards the later half of the innings.
Right, so there you have it. That's for Akash Deep. Sometimes I sympathize with LSG because you have Mayank Yadav missing at 11 crore, Akash Deep missing till now at 8, Avesh they paid nearly 10, Mohsin another 4. So there's a lot of money that you try to build around Indian fast bowlers. In fact, I'll talk a little bit about Avesh Khan maybe a little in the mid-show because that's when he'll come into bowl. First, LSG have a job to do with bat and it's time to get into what could be the most significant part of the game. It is the power play. That's what we've been discussing every day. So let's have tactics broken down in our Maruti Suzuki Arena presents Power Play Conversations. Okay, we spoke a little bit about Shardul Thakur and yes, MI are bowling first, but quick look at Ryan Rickleton, who we all are waiting to see the very best of. We saw shades of him getting to his best, Mark Boucher. And just as we break down perhaps some numbers as well, and you could tell us a little more of what Ryan Rickleton could be this season, especially at the back of a 50 in the last game.
Yeah, look, I think he's a type of guy still learning his game. You know, he first of all made the Proteas in Test cricket. Then he's always been very strong hitter in white ball game. He didn't quite know how to play in T20 cricket. Over the last few months last year, he had a good SA20 as well. So I think he's sort of cracked some sort of template to his batting. You know, he's going to find these conditions completely different. But I think that he'll thrive in these conditions as well. He's a tough little boy.
Right.
He wants the fight. He's not going to back down to anything. which is half the battle won in these conditions as well.
Excellent. Well, we'll wait to see how he goes against Shardul Thakur, who has picked up plenty of wickets in the power play, as Dustin mentioned. For now, let's just focus on the power play of the first innings. And Mitchell Marsh is key, you'd sense. Aiden Markram's had scratchy sort of form. He looked good before he was dismissed in the last game. But against the Mumbai Pacers, let's look at the matchups. Dustin, what have we got in terms of Mitch Marsh against the MI Seamers?
Yeah, I mean, well, Bolt, of course, does well against almost every batter in the power play. But...
Never dismissed Marsh.
I mean, Bolt and Chahar were big in the last game for MI. So that's going to be a big segment where, you know, Chahar bowled a really good spell.
Yeah, I guess the question here is Bolt and Chahar at the Wankhede versus Bolt and Chahar away from the Wankhede. And Mitch Marsh seems to enjoy, even though somewhere it's a small sample size, a pretty good matchup against them.
It all depends if it swings. If it swings, then those two guys come into play early doors.
As far as Mitch is concerned, we always had this plan of having the square leg back as well as the mid-wicket back.
Right.
So have the third man up, the short fine up, and try and look to hit his pads. So Chahar can do that, so can Trent Bolt. And if he starts thinking of the ball coming back into him, and both these bowlers also have the ability to beat the bat on the outside. So they can actually challenge both the edges out there.
Yeah, we saw him play a flick of mid-Stark, which when there was sort of a easy shot that comes to him. Good plan for a Mitchell Marsh?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it's strange that he hasn't had problems against Trent Bolt, because Trent Bolt swinging the ball back is usually where he's a bit susceptible. But, you know, for me, it's going to be interesting to see how they play Trent Bolt. Trent Bolt, the history of him, and he's been such a stalwart in the IPL as well. Sometimes teams will go out and say, listen, as long as he doesn't make inroads into us, we can capitalise on him towards the back end of the innings. But if he gets wickets in the power play, we're on the back foot straight away. So a lot of teams play a little bit more carefully when they play against him.
I can't help but to discuss Nicholas Pooran before LSG bat. We have very little time. But I wonder if Vignesh Puthur, young Vignesh Puthur, has been told that we're playing you today because we think you're the best chance to get Nicholas Pooran. That already makes me nervous. Thank God Vignesh has got more steel than me. 35% of LSG's runs this season so far have been scored by Pooran. And is Puthur the matchup today?
Can be the matchup, but after power play, not inside the power play, because you don't really want to throw the ball to him. So you would hope that the Pacers, Hardik included, Hardik would certainly look to test him with the short ball, because that's a chance as well. And Ashwini can also challenge him with some of the shorter balls. So
you know what? 5 outs against left-arm wrist spin. 5 dismissals in 19 innings, striking at 107.7.
Yeah, DJ will know that stat, and I can guarantee right now that stat will be would be in the Mumbai Indians dressing room. So they'll know that. I think it's just the time that he comes on is going to be quite important, and I'm sure Hardik will hold him to a point where he feels right. It's a 50-50 call, yeah.
And do you think the strategy for Puthur will be to bowl it at the stumps or outside the arc, the way Chahal got?
I think he'll bowl to the longer side of the field, and there is a little bit of difference in the side. And he'll probably throw it to touch wider and try force him to try take on the longer boundary.
Yeah, the kind of form he's been in. I remember after the last LSG batting innings, there was a comment on our YouTube Live that said, should they just not take the first wicket and delay Pooran as much as they can, since he's in this kind of form? On that note, let's get predictions. And because it's the LSG game, I started this last time and I quite enjoyed it, so I'm going to keep it going. I want you to tell me how Pooran will be dismissed, if at all, because this was fun. We all have to try and think which bowler will get the better of Pooran or how he'll be dismissed. And I think someone did get it right last time. Varun Aaron, I think, got it right. When he called Chahal to get him, it was only the second time he was dismissed a leg spin. Never been dismissed before. That too was Chahal. So let's go with the first inning score and how you see Pooran getting dismissed. Dustin, you go first.
I'll say first inning score 182. And I say Pooran, I have a feeling that Deepak Chahar might get him within the power play.
Ooh, this is what I like. I like this kind of stuff which can make you look really silly or like a genius. It's nothing in between. Sanjay Bangar.
Maybe Nikoff could be the option wherein Chahar / Ashwini can induce that outside edge. And as far as the score is concerned, I'm going in the similar range. I would say 189.
189, you said 182.
Yeah.
Right, Mark Boucher.
I'm going Santner. Santner to get Pooran out.
I love it.
I think it's a matchup that Puran's going to want to take on. I think that Santner, he's just got a lot of control and he'll know exactly where to bolt him. The score-wise, I reckon 175.
175. I can tell you that this was in my bonus conversations in case we had time. Santner has got Puran twice in 15 balls. Yeah, twice in 16 balls, beg your pardon, for just 14 runs. Ooh, is Hardik going to throw Santner the ball today? Right, I like it.
He'll know that stat as well.
Okay, there you have it. 178. Forecasters just shown up. I think it was waiting for you all today to help forecasters. So 178, we've got a 182, a 189 and a 175.
So we've, quite
We're all
around
the
it.
same.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's forecast. This is what AI can't do. What these.
Are you
collective
predicting
brilliance-
240? Or?
I'm no, enough 240. So how about, since I go by how I'm going, I'll predict 140 today. That could be a game. I just hope it's a close game. We're due a close game in the IPL. Let's pick up the chat and see where the Lucknow inning stands. Many thanks to Mark Boucher, Sanjay Bangar and Dustin Silgardo. We will see what Lucknow get and join us for analysis on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Rig In for Timeout.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.